This is American Dreams, a program where we interview thought leaders and entrepreneurs and bring their ideas to you in real world context. Welcome to the show. I'm visiting here today with Paul Abel. Paul is the president of Elite Business Ventures, and I am so excited to have you with us today, Paul.
Thank you. Me too.
So Paul has a very unique background. I'll call him, he's a process person, a critical thinker, and has really helped a tremendous group of people, in particular the entrepreneurs, as they are practicing and building businesses. So Paul, before we get into what you currently do, can you give the background of what brought you up today?
Sure, thank you. Well, first of all, it's an honor to be here. And, my goal today is to inspire and to be able to share different tricks and tools that I've used. And unfortunately, I've really only gained these skills in the last 5 years. But had I known about these tricks and tools, I may have still had my hair by now, Alan. So I'm hoping that this is going to be valuable and, and I can share successes and failures. Alan, so I was born in South Africa at the age of 12. So I immigrated to Israel. I did my high school and my military service in Israel, served in the Israeli Defense Force. I was a combat medic in the Israeli Defense Force. And then I came to America, which is, the best place in the world. There is nowhere better than the United States. Don't let anybody tell you, because I've lived in all these different countries. So I can tell you it's the best country in the world with the most opportunity. And Alan, I came here because my family, when we left South Africa, I was with a brother of mine who's a doctor today. We grew up in Israel and have an older brother and sister that came to the States and got into the Burger King business. So when I got out of the Israeli Defense Force, I came to work in the family business, in the Burger King business.
Excellent. So yeah, Paul, so thank you. And as you've acquired the experience and built out Elite Business Ventures, why don't you tell us, walk us through what you do and building out the business.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to, the journey. And, I have a 25-year-old son and a 21-year-old daughter that, graduated from college and are starting their journey. And they, have a mindset of, I really want to only work in doing things that I love. And when I look at the success that I have today, it's because of the journey of maybe working and serving in a military that I didn't love doing that work. But my God, what a foundation it gave me to do what I'm doing today. Had I not worked in Burger King and understood what this concept is that you can have a Whopper in San Diego and you can travel all the way across the country and order a Whopper and it tastes exactly the same, Alan. Exactly the same. How's that possible? Well, that's what that taught me. Even though I hated working in the family business, it taught me to really respect systems and process. And that's, Alan, from somebody who's dyslexic, ADD and ADHD, is in order to compensate for that. When I look back, it was the structure that in the jobs that I hated that got me to where I am today. So, Alan, after working in the family business, and I owned a bunch of Bruegger's Bagel franchises, I've been sued, I've been fined. We had over 1,000 employees. And, what my goal was after an employee injury in the bagel business, I had an inspection. What happened, Alan, is I had an employee that was cleaning a bagel machine while another employee was mopping the floors. And the person mopping the floors plugged in the bagel machine, not knowing that the other worker's finger was in the hopper, and chopped the finger off. And good thing I was a combat medic, right, Alan? So I knew what to do there. But what I didn't know, I did everything right. We called the workers' comp. We took care of the first aid. Went to the hospital. But what I didn't do is I didn't call OSHA. And by the way, at that time, there was about 80 restaurants in the family business, about an $80 million company. And again, franchised, right? So this isn't mom and pop entrepreneurs. This is a franchise deal, still entrepreneurs. But you would think that I would know exactly what to do with all this background. And the day after the incident, I get a call from OSHA, which is the government entity, and Cal OSHA is the California branch, that basically their one job is to ensure safety in the workplace. And the inspector said, hey, I just want to let you know that we need to come and visit your facility because you had a serious injury, and we need to ensure that your workers, your current workers, work in a safe environment. So I said, come on in, no problem, and guy shows up the next day and with a badge and all that, and introduces himself. And he says to me, did you know that you needed to notify OSHA within 8 hours, or Cal OSHA, of the injury? Again, I'm sorry, I didn't know that I needed to notify within 8 hours. And he takes out his ticket book and he starts writing me up. And he says to me, where are your posters that, you're supposed to utilize in this event? And I go to the break room and we don't have the right posters up. And then he says to me, where's your written safety plan, your injury illness prevention program? I didn't have one. I had an employee policy manual. And then he goes into my first aid kit and he opens it up and it's totally empty. So basically he gave me a $40,000 fine plus, and he had 30 days. He said, I'm coming back and we need to ensure that you are compliant. So I obviously called my lawyer and, whoever, this was 1999. And I go, where's the OSHA store? Where can I go and buy my posters, my first aid kits, my written safety plans? Can I have somebody do it for me? And there was no such thing at the time. So I said, if I ever start another business, I'm going to make it really easy for employers to comply not only with the law, but to provide a safer environment for their workers. And that's where the idea came about of this new business, which is Elite Business Ventures is the holding company, and I have 5 brands under it. So that's kind of the concept. That's where the idea came from, the pain of, as an employer, nobody told me what I needed. And every single day, we still live on the belief system that we exist. And I'll show you, I have it on the next slide. This is what we do, and we haven't deviated in 15 years. It's exactly the same. We assist employers in avoiding fines and lawsuits by assisting with the solutions that provide a safe and fair work environment. So we absolutely haven't deviated from that. We've kept 100% in line with that mission. However, the products have changed and the customers have changed. But basically, we have simplified our message. We take very complicated compliance regulation, and obviously we hire attorneys and other professionals, and we simplify it with the purpose of a safe, fair environment to employees. So that's our business model that we have, Alan.
So just curious. So today, 5 years ago, you started, but today, how many subscribers have you gained into your model
That's a great question. So, I would say that I have, we actually met each other and we had a conversation. I'll call it version 1.0 of my business, or the first phase of my business was really selling a product. So I call it, it's like, right now it's COVID, and you have the world pre-COVID and you have the world after COVID. I have a world pre-reoccurring revenue and I have a world post-reoccurring revenue. So I 100% committed. Every single morning I would wake up and I had a sticky on my computer screen that said, figure out how to make the business into a reoccurring revenue model. And when I'd go to bed at night on my alarm clock, it would say, figure out how to make your business a reoccurring revenue model. And so what I did is I went about and read all these books and joined all these organizations, which we'll talk about. And 6 years ago, we re-engineered the business, and it's 100% a reoccurring revenue model that we use, which we invented. We 100% invented it, and we have 250,000 subscribers. Our goal is to have 1 million subscribers in the next 36 months or less, and we're way on track. And we figured out a way how to do it in a very efficient manner, that we grow our business without having to hire a lot of people. And it's just a blessing. But what I'd like to share is how I did it afterwards, which is really stupid simple, that anybody can take the existing business that may not be where it is, and by doing just a few things, you can transform your whole business in a very short amount of time. So that's
all right. Well, I love it. You got my attention here, Paul. So let's move forward to the steps that need to be evaluated in a business.
So basically, Alan, I think that I think I mentioned to you is that, getting ready for today, I did a lot of thinking, and that's one of my, and this is really rough. This is a rough draft. It may even have typos on it. But I looked at it going, why am I so happy? What did I do to make my life so much better? And 5 years ago, I was working 100 hours a week. I was miserable. And so I put together what I call my 10 steps of being a happy entrepreneur. Now, you see, I didn't put rich, right? I didn't use the word rich, Alan. Happy is the key. So number one is I worked in a family business. I had my wife help me in the business and work together with her. And I will say, if you want to be happy, don't do it unless you have to. And when we started out, we had to. Alan, on step number 2 is go all in. I have a lot of acquaintances and people I know that have a job, a day job, and they have a great idea, and they just don't go all in. And that's the number one result. The number one action that changed everything was go all in, to the extent I convinced my wife 15 years ago to sell our house with a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. And I had 12-month runway to make this idea happen. Now, I had motivation because she would have killed me if I failed. So you got to have the motivation. So you got to go all in. You got to have the motivation. And then if you're lucky enough to have a supportive spouse or partner, it is so critical to make it happen. Number 3, don't sell a product, solve a problem. I sold a product for the first 8 years of the business. And I did well. I paid the bills. I was the best sales guy out there, right, in my business. I was the business, and I had a support team. And once I went through the training and the learning, which I'm going to share what that is, I was trained. Don't sell a product, solve a problem. And when you solve the problem or you identify the problem, then absolutely commit to use thinking tools. And there are unbelievable thinking tools out there. I use Pitch Planner, Strategizer, Strategic Coach. Oh my God, changed my life. But I used to shoot from the hip and wouldn't sit down and think about what's the best case if I do this? What's the worst case if I don't do this? And it's just pausing to take the time to think and use tools. Number 5, master your niches. We used to sell our product to everybody because we're solving a issue for all types of businesses. And what we started mastering was B2B services. And what we do is we bolt on to benefit brokers and CPAs and payroll companies. And we 100% understand what they do. And we white label our solutions for them that they included in their base fees. But the reason that I can do it is I go to every single conference and I sit in the technical seminars. So where all the other vendors are standing in an exhibit booth, and if you're listening to this and you go to trade shows and you're in the exhibit booth during the time where all the clients are in the actual sessions, you're making a mistake. Sit in the session, learn the language, learn what your niche does, learn what your customer does, master the niches, and you'll have riches. Number 6, I have this epiphany of 3 levels of client relationships. So that's my take on it. Level 1, you're a vendor and you sell a product. They give you a purchase order, you ship your product, or you're maybe in the service industry. You basically are providing some sort of a return on investment for somebody giving you some cash. Lowest level of relationship. The next level of relationship is where you can actually build a relationship with that client and understand more what are their goals, what are they going to be doing, and how can you actually integrate your product to fit better into their business model. And many entrepreneurs don't do that. They just want to sell their product, but don't understand the client and where the client's going to and how they can re-engineer their solution to fit in the client's growth. I call that level 2. Level 3 is once you have established yourself as a thought leader in the niche, well, then you can become a coach to your clients. So, Alan, I have, in one of the niches that we are very involved in, I have 25 of my clients that pay us for our services, that they basically join this mastermind group, we call it a peer group, where we put groups of 8 to 10 of our clients together. I hired a facilitator to basically facilitate it. It's a quarterly meeting. We meet somewhere in the country, and we're actually doing it pretty cool now where we rent out these big Airbnbs and actually hang out together with the clients. But I outsourced it to a facilitator, but we're coaching our clients how to run their businesses, how to work together as a community. And if you have that 3rd level of relationship, then you never have to spend a penny in marketing. Alan, we grow a minimum of 20% a year. I don't spend $1 on marketing. All our business is referrals because of this mindset of the 3 levels of client relationships and the investment. Number 7, don't blow your money on hiring a salesperson thinking that you're going to grow your business without you doing the work first. You have to know what your value proposition is. You have to know what your target market is. You then have to create unbelievable collateral material for your salesperson. I have a military background. Your sales guy or sales gal are your soldiers. No great military will ever send a soldier to battle without telling them exactly where the enemy is and how they need to get there, and then arming them with the right weapons and support to conquer the hill. You have the same obligation to your soldiers. And I did not do that. I calculated millions of dollars of wasted money thinking that I had crappy salespeople. I think I had some amazing salespeople. I was crappy because I didn't set them up for success. It's your obligation to do that for your salesperson. And that's the number one thing and I have this concept called the growth stack that I'm working on, that I use tools. So for example, if you're looking for your target market, it needs to be specific to what motivates you to spend your time in every day. Now, I didn't say it's a target market that can make you the most money. The target market is a market that you can wake up every single day and be excited to work in that marketplace. Then you have to have a value proposition that really makes sense to that target market. Then you have to design the collateral material, your website, your brochures, and your videos, specifically speaking and talking to that particular target market about your value proposition and how you're going to help them. Then you need to engage them by doing whatever email marketing or whatever you may buy advertising. Only then give it to the sales guy. And I did it totally wrong. I brought the sales guy in first, and then I wanted them to figure it all out. So don't waste the money that I wasted, and don't spend the time that I spent learning this. It's huge. And number two, hire a headhunter when you're hiring a salesperson. Hiring a salesperson is an art, and hire either a headhunter or great interviewing team to help you select it. But that was the biggest jump for me, was making sure that I get the right people with the right stack. Only reoccurring revenue. I sold the same exact product for 8 years. And every single month I opened up my doors and I had to start selling again. So I created a model based upon the exact same product with a different target market, with a different value proposition, that I made it reoccurring. So look at your target market today, and if you don't have a reoccurring revenue model, there may be another target market that you can package a solution together that you can charge reoccurring revenue. Trust me, in COVID, reoccurring revenue was an unbelievable gift. An unbelievable gift. So if you can do that. And number 9 is most probably the most important. So I have kids, and when you have kids, and if your kid needs braces, you're going to do whatever it takes to spend the money on braces for that kid. If your kid has a little bit of a learning issue, you're going to spend a lot of money to make sure they're taken care of. But what are you doing on spending money for yourself? What are you doing to better yourself? Do you know you're going to spend $50,000 a year to $100,000 a year, depending on how old your kids are, to send them to a 4-year education? And by the way, if they're not going to be professionals, not sure if it's going to be worth the money or not, what are you spending on yourself? And that was another mistake I made, is I didn't spend money on learning how to be a better manager, a better boss, a better owner. And it took me a while, but I found a system, and that's what I want to share. For you personally, Strategic Coach has been an unbelievable gift, and it will teach you a way of thinking that nobody else has. Dan Sullivan, he's the founder, and just has an amazing team, and has definitely changed my life. And join a community. If it's not EO or Sage, have a peer group around you, a local peer group that you meet once a month with other entrepreneurs around you. Don't do this on your own. Don't do this on your own. So for you personally, those two enterprises, those two organizations will change your life, will change your life. Now for your team, don't try and run your business. I can guarantee you, all of you guys, sitting here have most probably work more hours than most of your employees work in your business and spend more time in your business than on your business. You don't have to do that. Go buy a book called Traction, EOS. It's available either by the name Traction or Get a Grip. And it basically is a formula how to run your business based upon the Rockefeller habits. And it will change your team's life. I hired a Silicon Valley COO, world class. The reason he came and worked for me as a smaller company is because we had such an amazing culture and we ran our business so efficiently and effectively on this system called EOS. And the other thing is send your team to strategic coach as well to teach them how to think and how to use communication tools. And number 10, only A players. You know you've got a B player. I guarantee you, and you know who your C's are. Always work to have A players. I went from over 55 employees down to 18 and tripled my business. Yeah, 55 to 18 and tripled my business by having only A players and outsourcing most of the minutia in my business, which maybe we'll do on another podcast on how that worked. But if you can do these 10 things, then I will guarantee you'll be a happy entrepreneur and the wealth will come with it. So that's my 10 steps.
Paul, it's well said and beautifully outlined. I can see how many people have benefited from the processes, and not many people can say they've taken into 250,000 subscribers within a 5-year period, and then they continue to grow at 20% a year. But when the right problem's identified, it takes care of itself in a viral way.
Well said. Well said.
In fact, I think we use some of your posters also.
Well, otherwise, it's not. If you have the posters, remember, you're not getting the best solution. You should subscribe to the service that keeps you updated.
Well, I said that the wrong way. I think we are one of those subscribers. So thank you. There you go. Once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur. Well, Paul, it's been a pleasure having you with us today. And I would like to have you back to do a follow-up podcast. The group will be thrilled to continue to hear some of your wisdom as they work to scale companies.
Would love to share, and it's my passion and it's my cause is to help other entrepreneurs, and nothing makes me happier to do that, Alan. So I would be delighted.